Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we talk about a day in the life of IT and things such as PowerShell, SCCM or MECM, jams, rants that's dealing with end users, and just anything in IT general. Well, almost anything. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Really helps out a lot. And go ahead and like this video. I'm pretty sure you're going to like this video. It's going to be helpful in your IT career, especially for my sysadmins out there. All right. In today's video, we're going to talk about updating the BIOS directly within SCCM. And not only in SCCM, but you can update it using WinPE without the OS being installed. This is mainly going to focus on Dell systems because that's our main footprint, but we also have a way to do it for Microsoft and Lenovo as well, and HP as well, but mainly we are a Dell environment. Before I get into the video, I do want to discuss a conference that I will be attending next month. It's going to be called VASCAN 2022, and it's a security type of conference. And this talks about how to secure your environment. This year it's going to focus on Windows and securing Windows. And with all of the breaches going on, especially with everyone being remote in the last couple of years, I think this will be a great opportunity for anyone, not just, someone in security, but for a sysadmin or a level 1 tech or whoever to attend this conference. So if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area, definitely look out for this. So again, that's VASCAN 2022, and I'm going to put links and more information down in the description below. All right, so let's get into the script here. All right, so this script, we run it in a task sequence, but we do it right before the OS is installed. We do format the drive just to make things a little bit cleaner. You don't have to do that because everything is done on the RAM drive, but just for consistency's sake, after we format and wipe the drive and before applying the OS, we go ahead and update the BIOS. All right, so what you see here is the script that that I've used. Now, some parts of this script is heavily borrowed from two authors, and they are credited here below. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. So the first thing I always do is set up a object for my task secrets variables. Very, very useful if I need to either set task sequence variables or read from task sequence variables. All right, so next thing is this function called get BIOS list. So again, this is specific to Dell, but again, you can do the same thing for Microsoft, Lenovo, and HP. And the credit belongs to osdeploy.com. All right, there's some great people out there who took the time to make this, and I just grabbed this section because this is the only part that I need, and I put it into this script. So pretty much what this is doing is getting the latest BIOS and driver information from Dell.com on demand. All right, so a lot of you may be saying, well, we already do this with driver automation tool, and driver automation tool is amazing, no doubt. I'm not knocking anything on that. However, driver automation tool is useful if you're updating your packages constantly. Now for us, because we do have an environment where we work with Dell, Lenovo, HP, and Microsoft, we update our packages once a month. Well, I thought it would be nice to do this stuff on demand, and since in my unit I'm mainly dealing with Dell computers, I wanted to just grab those packages on demand. All right, so again, it's pulling directly from Dell.com, and it's just doing some things right here. And pretty much what this does is downloads the CAD package, and then it's all XML. This is just some script right here to get the XML content and put it nicely into a PowerShell object. And that's literally all that it's doing. All right, and the way that the script works is if you already have a file, it will go ahead and use that file. But if the file is older, let me see here. Yeah, if the file is older than 12 hours, then it will go ahead and get the latest file. All right, so let's go ahead and collapse this, because again, it's just getting the file and converting it into an object. This next part is another function that is from Maurice Daly and Nicolaj Anderson. And again, this is from the driver automation tool guides or the SCCM configuration guides. And this is a very useful way to write a proper SCCM log, so you can read it in CMTrace. All right, and it's nothing special about this. This is just writing the logs in a function. All right, so let's go ahead and collapse this. So the first thing I do is, I just write to the log, hey, I'm starting the script, and then I'm getting the SKU version. So on every Dell computer, there's a property within this WMI class called SKU number. So I go ahead and grab that, and then of course I want to get the version number. So then I write to the log, hey, I found the SKU, here's the SKU, and here's the BIOS version. And then I look up the Dell catalog. All right, so this right here grabs the Dell catalog, and I'm just looking for the BIOS stuff that's compatible just with this SKU here, and that's what this compatible switch is for. All right, I want to go ahead and sort by release date, descending, and grab the first object, obviously, right? If I'm sorting by descending release date, then I'm getting the latest and greatest. Now I'm filtering for the items using the SKU, and then I, again, do the same thing here. So I'm using what's known as, I guess it's called recursive variables. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, but I'm setting a variable with the same name, but using the information that I got from line 238. Now with that, I'm looking for my particular SKU, and the supported system ID is part of this function here, because again, it's converting the XML into a PowerShell object. So that's why I'm able to use the where object and use this particular property here. And again, I'm grabbing the latest and greatest by sorting by release date in descending order. All right, so then I write to the log saying, hey, the latest version for this SKU is blah. All right, and then I start a comparison. All right, so there's three types of comparisons, right? First, we need to determine if the BIOS version starts with an A. If the BIOS version starts with an A and the latest BIOS version starts with an A, then I can go ahead and compare it. So for example, all right, so yeah, it's A29 and A25, then, we're gonna go ahead and compare it. And, it can be as simple as, hey, we can go ahead and do this here. So A25 is less than A29, should get false, or true, because A25 is less than. But if we get greater than, should be false. So we can see here that it ignores the A and just looks at the 25 and the 29. All right, so what I'm saying is if the BIOS version is less than the latest BIOS version, let's go ahead and do the upgrade, set that to true. Now, if the current BIOS version is A something, but the latest is actual in ... format, then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the upgrade, because this is a legacy way of how Dell did the BIOS updates, and this is the new way. So it'll be, something like 1.2.24 or something like that. All right. Now, if the current BIOS version is, blah, 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 and the latest BIOS version is also blah, 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 then we're going to use the version data type. Now, this data type is extremely helpful. I use this in another script where I compare software versions when I need to do my annual updates or semi-annual updates, and I let PowerShell do the work for me. So I can put in something like, and again, I want to go ahead and show you guys this. So if I say version 2.3.4 is greater than version, I don't know, 6.2.3, I should get false. Now, if I didn't have the version data type, what will happen is it should fail. Hey guys, Hercule here from the future. All right, so what you're seeing right here on the screen is completely false, and I completely had a brain fart at this moment. This is why you should do scripts when you record videos. Nevertheless, the whole trying to compare 2.6 to something like 2.7.3, it will pass, as you can see here. It will give a true. But if I do something like 2.16, it will also say true. Obviously 2.16 is not less than 2.3. To get around this is why we should use the version data type, as we can see here, and it's actually false. And if we switch it around to greater than, then we can see that's true. So that is why the version data type is extremely helpful, and you don't want to use just strings or integers or anything by itself. You want to specifically tell PowerShell, hey, use the version data type. Okay, back to the video. All right, so now what we're going to say is, if the do upgrade, which I have here again, because I'm very, very cool when it comes to naming my variables. If the variable is true, let's go ahead and start it. So go ahead and write, hey, the latest BIOS version is higher than the currently installed version, whatever. Let's continue with the upgrade. So we're going to ahead and get the URL. Again, this is from that XML. And then we're going to get the file name. So the file name is going to pretty much be the ending of that URL, obviously. So I write to the log, hey, I'm going to download using URL, and then I'm going to save the file to the path. And the path is going to be a temp folder. And then the progress preference, I'm going to silently continue because that kind of slows down stuff. So we're going to use this object here, system.net web client. We're going to download the file using the URL, and then we're going to save it as this file name. And then I say, hey, download complete, gathering the password from the task sequence. For us, our passwords are pretty static, but we do have this in the task sequence, and it is hidden. The only way you can see it if you have access to the task sequence, and that's very, very limited for obvious reasons. So, the given password should be in this task sequence variable. If it's not, I say, hey, the password was not specified, check task sequence stats to ensure variable is set. I'm going to exit the script, and I get a severity of 3. And this is pretty much an error severity. All right. And it'll show up in red in the actual logs in CMTrace. And then I go ahead and exit with 0. The reason why I exit with 0, because any other exit code will fail the entire task sequence, and I don't want to do that. So I just used exit 0. All right. Otherwise, if this doesn't return true, let's go ahead and start everything going on. So I want to set the logs for the actual flashing of the BIOS to this file here. I'm going to use the SMTS log because I want to be able to look at the log in case there's any errors. Then I have the actual Flash 64 exe, and this can be downloaded from Dell's website, and I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below. But then I'm just putting that into a variable, and then I have my switches where I say, hey, I want to use this file name. I want to do it silently. I don't want any pop-ups or any interactions. And I'm going to use my password, and I want to save my log. Then I have this obfuscate variable, which is pretty much the same thing. I'm just replacing the given password with password redacted, because when I put this into the logs, I don't want anyone to be able to see the password, which again we see right here. I'm starting the exe using these arguments here, and then I go ahead and start the process. Start the Flash 64 exe with the switchers, and I'm using this pass through and wait because I'm going to put this into the variable, and we'll see why I put this into the variable in just a quick second. Once this is finished, I'll go ahead and write, hey, finish installing with the exit code, whatever. All right, usually it's exit code 2. for reboot purposes. But the reason why I'm able to get this because I use the pass-through variable or pass-through parameter because I put the whole start process commandlet inside of a variable. And then I say, hey, if the ESCO code is 02, let's go ahead and set a flag to reboot the machine. All right, and we can see here reboots required, ESCO code 2, setting variable to prompt task sequence to reboot. Now this, to me, I just found this out recently and I'm probably way late to the game. But if you're in Windows PE, right, you haven't even loaded the OS yet, and you do a restart computer step, it will download the necessary WIM to a temporary location, stage it, reboot the computer, and then when it reboots, it picks exactly up where it left off at. And I thought that was the most amazing thing ever. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? Where have you been all my life? I've been trying to come up with ways to prevent reboots, all this good jazz, and the fact that I can do the reboot and it picks off exactly where it left off, amazing. Nevertheless, you can see here, hey, BIOS updates needed, need reboot. I set it to true, and that is a task sequence variable, and we'll see how that comes in the hand. And pretty much once that's done, that's it. Now, the thing is, I have a whole bunch of else statements because we see here I got a whole bunch of if statements. So this else statement goes with this if statement. If it's not 02, that means there's an error. So if there's an error updating the BIOS, review the log file at wherever. And that's why I do have a log file whenever I flash the BIOS. This else statement goes with the BIOS name and with the BIOS making sure that it downloaded. So I say, hey, unable to download the BIOS using the URL, I'm exiting the script. And again, severity 3, meaning it is an error. This else statement goes to do upgrade. I say, hey, if it's if this upgrade doesn't equal true, I'll just say the current BIOS version, wherever, matches or exceeds the BIOS versions from Dell catalog. So sometimes what happens is Dell will release a BIOS update and the catalog isn't updated. So let's say, a computer got BIOS 3.1.2, but the Dell catalog had BIOS 3.0.9. Obviously 3.1.2 is higher. So there's no point of flashing. Even though the catalog says that this is the latest, the system may have already been flashed with the latest BIOS that just hasn't been updated into the catalog yet. So that's why I have matches or exceeds the BIOS version from the catalog. And then this else statement just says, hey, I'm unable to retrieve the latest BIOS from the Dell catalog. That just means that probably didn't have any internet, or the Dell website was down at the moment. It could be many reasons. If I continue to get this, then that means that we may need to update the function here. But I highly, highly, highly doubt that Dell would change their ways, because a lot of sysadmins and other organizations probably depend on this catalog so they can get their stuff. Now again, you may be saying, hey, Driver Automation Tool does this for me. Why do I need to do this? Because again, if you are in an environment where you have multiple vendors and you update, your catalogs or your packages, maybe once a month or once every other month or whatever, you're not getting the latest and greatest, and you still have to do an individual update or whatever. This way, you can always attempt to get the latest and the greatest. Now, sometimes even, again, like I said before, with the Dell catalog, you may get the update from the Dell catalog, but then you go to the Dell support website, and there's a later version available for you to install. So it's kind of a catch-22, but for us, this works just fine. All right, so unfortunately, I can't test this out because I don't have a Dell computer in front of me. At least that's not ready for an update. And also, it will be kind of tough to record WinPE using an actual physical machine. Now, if it was a VM, be no problem, but using a physical machine can be tough. Yeah, you can use VNC, but that's too much work. What I do have for you is actual logs where the stuff did actually take place, or where the update actually take place. So I don't know if I can change the font here. So if the font is too small, all right, so unfortunately I can't change the font here. I tried to change it, but I just can't. So this tool here is called Configuration Management Trace Log Tool, or CMTrace, as you may see it. And it's great for reading logs from SCCM, whether it's app.4s or CI downloader or update stores. Great for reading those types of logs here. So this log is generated from the script that we wrote when we were actually doing this process. So this was a brand new computer out of the box. As you can see, we started the process on the 29th. I'm not sure why it looks like this right now, but anywho, we started the process on the 29th at around 4:30, and this is exactly what it does. Starting the script to see if BIOS updates needed, and it's able to get the SKU, which is in this case 08B1, and the current BIOS installed version is 2.18.0. All right, so I'm looking up the catalog and I'm filtering items for the actual SKU, and the catalog says 2.21 is available. All right, and I do a little comparison, and the latest BIOS update is higher than the currently installed version. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with the upgrade, and then I'm going to download the update. So this was a 5820 tower, and I was able to just download this exe, and I saved it to the X Windows 10 folder, because again, all this is happening on the RAM drive, not on the actual disk. All right, so the download is complete, and I gathered the password for the task sequence steps. And then I just say, hey, I'm starting the exe using these arguments. Using the /b to say I want to use this particular exe. The /s is for silence. Of course, /p is for the password, but it's redacted like we had. And then the actual log for the BIOS update itself. The update takes, as you can see, 12 seconds to do, and a reboot is required. And the exit code is 2, as you see here, and then the script ended. So we started this at 4:38 and 32 seconds and finished this at 4:38 56 seconds. So this took all 25-30 seconds, less than that, to check the BIOS, check the SKU, grab the catalog, do the comparison, download what's needed, install, and set a couple of variables, all in 20 seconds. Love PowerShell, love it. The second one is the actual log from the installer. All right, this is from the Dell Flash installer. Again, we see that we started this at 4:38 and 42 seconds. And again, we can see here, I'm doing the same exact thing where I'm installing the log from the exe. I'm using the arguments that I set, and we see that 2.18 is the currently installed version. 2.21 is the updated version, and then all it's doing is flashing. That's literally all that it's doing. So the reason why it's not longer is because it's just flashing it. So on the next reboot, their system can go ahead and update. All right. So now I kind of want to show you what it looks like in our task sequence. So this is our main task sequence that we have, and we break everything down in groups. It just makes life easier. And this has its own group. And the only way that this will run is if the manufacturer is like Dell, right? If the manufacturer is not like Dell, there's no point of doing everything else. We set a password. Again, we use this do not display this value, obviously for security reasons. And we have update Dell BIOS, and this is just the same PowerShell script that we ran. And this is the cool thing: restart in WinPE, right? what's pretty much you're going to run is using the boot image that is assigned to the task sequence. Like anything, like any task sequence, you can assign a boot image, a WinPE boot image, which we do have. And it, again, I always thought that it started from the beginning, but it doesn't. It stages everything that it needs and picks up exactly where it left off. And we also have that condition here: BIOS update need reboot is equal to true. All right. If this doesn't equals true, then this whole thing doesn't reboot. All right. So I have a couple other ones changing the BIOS RAID setting, but I'm not really going to get into that. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's pretty much how we update the BIOS before we apply the OS inside of WinPE. I think this is the coolest thing ever. It really helped us out because sometimes BIOS gets updated and the BIOS changes some things, but you know, it is what it is. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the video and hit that bell notification. If you didn't like this video, you give me a thumbs down, but leave a comment why didn't you like it? You know, what kind of fits. If you have any questions about, you know, what we discussed about updating the BIOS, the PowerShell script, reading the log, or the task sequences, please let me know. Other than that, you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.